seriously. We put so much pressure on ourselves that's the wrong kind of pressure that God never meant to put on us. And when we do that as leaders, we can't help but lead with the same anxiety. When we lead people in anxiety because we feel like we have to get somewhere, we try to drag them into the presence instead of invite them. We try to drag them to a table where there's already a seat for them. Instead of saying, hey, you've always belonged here. There's actually only one seat for you. It's like Chris was talking about. No, it's not the next thing. It's the new thing. This seat has only ever been for you. And we jerk them in and we're like, okay, wait, this is how we do it. And we're trying to invite them into worship while they're like trying to watch how we do it and try to figure it out because they feel our anxiety. Whew. You can't perform in the present. It's impossible. And I think my notes were also at home, but maybe we're just gonna, if this is okay, we'll just go with what's moving. I think one of my biggest lessons as a worship leader, okay, I see you. I see you, 24 minutes. I was just making sure I knew where I was so I could be mindful of it because I want to be present with you and also honor that. One of my biggest lessons coming here, my mommy and daddy are on the front row right here. Yes, they deserve standing ovations. The more I do this, the more I understand how rare it is to have a story like mine, where my parents are the reason that I so easily fell in love with Jesus. That is the truth. And they would be the first to tell you that they are not perfect. They've been in ministry my whole life. In worship ministry, they were on the road traveling when I was in my mama's belly and when I was a new baby. They're amazing. And they're always learning. I think I just admire them. I've seen like people healed and delivered and stay free. And I've seen them lead people to Jesus my whole life. But I also have seen them continue to learn. They've remained students. And they tell me all the time things they're learning from me, which is just mind-blowing. It's ridiculous. And it's like, I attend this school every year. I attend it every year. And every year I'm completely wrecked. And I'm like, and everybody has the moment where you're like, you hear the person before you and then you go, now what am I going to go up there and say? Why do they got me on the roster? I don't know what's happening here. But then you also have this like holy moment where you're like, well, for some reason, you chose us for such a time as this, for this moment. And, let it be to me as you've said. So one of my biggest lessons coming out of I think everywhere we were, whenever we had people over, I just remember we'd end up, around a piano. The conversation always found its way back to the Lord. Or we'd end up in worship, or mom starts playing the piano. Dear God, I wish I had a keyboard. You'd all be slain. And I just remember the presence filling the house. I remember in our little Nazarene church exploded with revival. And we were all like, what? You're like, you pray for these things your whole life and then they happen. You're like, what do we do? What do we do? And that's just real, And everybody's like fumbling majorly and also just going, hey, this is great. There's something amazing about, see, I know you'll hear different teachings about this. So this is not me fighting with what anyone else has already said. This is just what I've learned from in my own experience. This is Steffany's opinion. It does not have to be yours. I'm not trying to project. I do find that God puts us in positions that we never feel ready for. And I do find that sometimes he picks the most unassuming season of our lives to do the craziest thing he'll ever do through us. I've seen it happen way too many times in my own life when I would never have put myself in that position. Or maybe when I would have put myself in that position, that he did a different thing. He's like, hey, I'm gonna give you 100 words about going to Nashville and then I'm gonna send you to Redding, California. He often does that. He'll put something in our hearts and then he'll send us somewhere else. And we get a little disoriented, but he's like, no, this was right. That's it. I meant to do it that way. It's not that he's forgotten. I feel like there's a lot of us that, she talked about it today. You always feel like you're repeating. You always feel like you're repeating something somebody else said, and probably we all are to some degree. Repeat and repeat. But I find that you end up frustrated your entire life when you try to find a formula like to look like someone else that you feel connected to in the spirit. You can have similar spirits, but it looks different. The glory of God manifests differently in and through every one of us. And it's exhausting and miserable to try to be someone else. One, you'll never get there. And two, no one else will care. And you'll end up speaking a thing over your life that says, nobody sees me, nobody sees me, nobody sees me, nobody sees me, nobody ever sees me, nobody sees me, until that is the banner that you wear over yourself in the spirit, and then nobody sees you. You've rendered yourself powerless by your own declaration over your life. Nobody sees me, nobody sees me. Now they don't. Have you ever wondered if we bring a lot of those things on ourselves? Sometimes it's God. There's a difference in hiding and like the Lord tucking you under his wing, and then just, you're not seen because you don't believe you're worth being seen. Nobody knows you because these terrible things that we say over our lives. Anyways, that's just a tangent. I don't remember the lesson I was going to tell you. I think the lesson I was going to tell you about my life. That's right. We're back there. Sorry. This is where notes would have been good. I was sort of like, I learned to like flow. We'd spend like hours after church, because in the Church of the Nazarene, we were like, okay, we're gonna honor the way the service is set up. It's beautiful. You need to honor your pastors. If you want to have influence with people, you can't just do this like, well, God told me. Do you want to change the church you're in? Do you actually want to have influence there? Or do you want to like be, marked a rebel forever? Some of us feel like, well, they just think this about me. Well, some of it's because it's what you're putting out there. You're feeling a little entitled. You're feeling kind of like, well, I've tapped into this thing in the spirit, and if they would just let me. If they would just let me, step out in it. Just, you wouldn't believe, like we wouldn't believe what would happen in the room, And that's just not true. The Lord might be protecting all the people from you. But there's a time for everything, and he knows. He's not angry at that. He's not even angry. I don't even think he's angry at that attitude. I just think he's like, oh, baby, this would crush you, and it would lead them into a weird place. I care too much. I love you too much. I love you too much to give you a crown that will crush you today. It's that David thing. It's really that simple. I had to learn, like really practically, not to just close my eyes and leave the band behind me. You know what I'm saying? Any prophetic singers? Just a little too into your moment? Mm-hmm. Prophetic singers need to learn to pastor people through the moment. Yeah. You need to, if you just want that prophetic moment, it's really beautiful, but there's a little bit of pastoring goes such a long way. And your pastors and your leaders will be so grateful if you just say, hey, what if we took a few minutes to tell them what this is? To tell them what's going on. You watch people immediately, like somebody can take off singing, they close their eyes, they forget the band, they just do their own thing, and you've lost them. The whole room's like, I am wondering when this is going to be over. They get uncomfortable, they get like squirmy, all that kind of stuff, Instead of just keeping your eyes open, watching. It's funny how we equate closing our eyes with reverence, but closing our eyes is usually to stop the chaos. When we close our eyes, it's genuinely, typically, so that we are not affected by what we see, more than reverence. And so, if we are still inside because we're connected to the source, then we won't have to close our eyes because we won't be distracted by everything around us. As worship leaders, we've got to get this. And I'm still learning it. I'll still always be learning it. I remember one day I called my dad, who's just a beautiful apostle. And I remember when I was in a crazy place. I don't even know. I think it was somewhere in LA years ago. And I walked into I walked into a thrift store. And I was like, and I'm like, all the clothes are talking to me. They're all talking. They all have stories. Can't wear them. Can't buy them. Must leave. And I went and I sat on the curb outside of the store. I left my friends, and I wasn't freaking out. I was just like, I can't be in here. It's too much chatter. And I went and sat, and I called my dad, and I said, Dad, what's going on? And he said, oh, baby girl. He said, you're picking up on all of the history. You're picking up on all of the history that's in the room. You're picking up on all the stories. He said, that's an amazing gift. So let's ask the Holy Spirit some questions. Dads! Seriously. He fathered me. He fathered me through the moment and pastored me through the moment. It was like, okay, we're going to ask some really simple questions because we don't need to be overwhelmed. There's a reason why you've been given this gift. God didn't give it to you to confuse you or overwhelm you. He gave it to you to have influence and to change the atmosphere. Greater is he that's in you. So deep breath, Holy Spirit. Is what I'm picking up on coming from outside of me? Is something inside of me? Or are you speaking something to me? Got to find out where it's coming from. We have to learn how to sort as leaders, and we have to learn how to sort quickly. Because stuff comes to you. It will always be true. I don't have to tell you this. It will always be true that what you bring in with you, you bring in with you. It will always be true, and there's grace for that too. Some days you're not gonna catch everything. You're not gonna catch it all like Bill and then come in, you know? You're not gonna catch it all. And there's grace for that. There really is, but it does matter. It matters that we learn it. It matters that we practice the presence before we come in. If you're not leading yourself in worship more than you're leading people, there's a real imbalance. There's a big imbalance. If you're not being led as often or more than you are leading worship, there is an imbalance in the force. Just for your own well-being. It's not a scolding. It's just because you need it. It's because we need it. We need to be led well. So we sorted, and then I got really clear. I was able to go back into the store and shop with my friends and pick out some lovely things that were saying nice things to me. And then I got to deal with the extra. My daddy told me every day of my entire life that he got the chance to, that I was beautiful and that I was born to change the world. It's hard to not be when you hear it that often. I'm just finding it's true. Like, I had no reason not to believe him. And I think that the more confidence we find in our Father, the eyes we lock with in secret are the eyes we'll find in every crowded room. And you won't have to close your eyes. And you won't be confused and you won't be overwhelmed. Because the waves of his presence will be greater than anything else you pick up on, anything else that anyone else has brought into the room. And often as worship leaders, we come in and we feel like, have you ever been in a room that just like, they're just not budging? Then some of you are probably in that every week. God bless you for your faithfulness, really. It's way easier for us to lead worship than it is for you. Seriously, there's something that you are stewarding that is stunning. And a lot of us have been there. A lot of us have led congregations in that place, believe me. Been there. There's nothing like somebody asking you to lead worship at their church and then they don't like you and they don't ever ask you back. But they're like, you try to serve them, you do the best you can, and it goes well or it doesn't. And but we've all been in those moments. And what I want to say is this is what I'm trying to get to. There are times we come in and in our own insecurity as leaders, we get frustrated with their lack of response. We are making their response about us. And we actually get this like bit of, I've heard worship leaders, it hurts my heart. I've heard worship leaders come off the stage, and now I'm getting sweaty. I've heard worship leaders come off the stage or from the stage scold a group of people. Like, come on. Like you didn't, I'm not saying there's not a time to stir people up and like say, rise up. I'm not saying, I do that too. I believe in it. But there's a time when people are like, they're all just standing there. I've heard people do it, like openly rebuke a group of people. What you do not think about as leaders in insecurity is that some people, the best they could do was show up that day. And here you are yelling at them from the stage, trying to yank them into something. And they are giving everything they have to show up. They can hardly even get the words out of their mouth, but they got there that day. Please don't punish them. If you want them to trust you, give them your heart. If you want them to trust you, invite them and say, I know, it's scary. Thank you for coming. It must have cost you. You have no idea what it cost every person in that room to be there. And they don't know what it cost you. We've got to quit judging the people we're leading. We've got to stop coming in with preconceived notions. We've got to stop making their response about us. There will be times as leaders that we lead and we're meant to be signs and wonders and spectacles, and they're just watching to see if we can connect. They're just watching to see us practice the presence, and it has to be okay. And if we're connected to the source, we're not up here leading, being led by what we feel out here. Can't tell you how many times I've like gotten up to lead a room and it was like, woo, and they're just like, I dare you, try to move me, And there are times when I'm like, okay, I will, but I know, here's what I know. My confidence is not in my ability to rock a room. My confidence is that I know who I've been with long before I hit this stage. I know the one who called me. I know the one who filled me. I know the one who keeps me. I know the one who sustains me. I know the one that they need. It's my job. It's not my job to make people like me, to teach them the way I do things. It is my job as a leader, as a spiritual mother, to activate and inspire a personal reformation with Jesus Christ in every person in the room. To lead them into their own reformation, not to try to fix them, not to try to change them, not to try to drag them into the presence, as if I contained it, as if coming into my realm is where they'll meet God. He was with them long before they came. My heart, for us, we're in a minute with you. Some of you have been doing this a lot longer than me. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Our hearts as leaders should always be, I feel it with all my heart. I shouldn't should on you. My heart as a leader, you can decide if you want it to be yours. My heart as a leader is that everyone would leave, even in worship. I mean, how many of you leave worship and you're like, man, I really needed that? Right, but was it for you? No, but here's why we say that. We say that because when we worship, we get over ourselves and we step into alignment with the reason why we're alive. When we're in worship, things are made right. Things come into alignment. Everything else gets really small. It's like standing on an ocean. Standing before this thing that is completely out of your control and overwhelming and beautiful at the same time. It literally is like, these are the moments. Every time I lead worship, every time in worship, there is a moment when I go, this is why I'm alive. And I'm not talking about all this. I'm not talking about the stage. That's like the 10% of our life. This is like not normal. This is not normal. I'm talking about everyday life. I'm talking about walking with God. This is why I'm alive. And in our hearts, like in worship, we say, oh, I really needed that, because that's a moment when we actually engaged in worship. We're like, everything slowed down and got clear and things were right. It's a moment of clarity because we need his presence. We live on his presence. And what I want is for the people I'm leading to feel invited. Not because I sang something, not because I got the word. Like, we should live for the moments when they forget we're there. When we step back out of the lights and the people lift their own song. And he falls because he loves to inhabit the praises of his people. And there's something stunning in a corporate song. There'll never be anything like it. I mean, like heaven, let's go. You know, that's overwhelming. But I believe even greater than that song is you singing yours, and you singing yours, and you singing yours. Because it takes a whole bunch of sons and daughters who know they're beloved to change the world. Sons and daughters who become mothers and fathers, who invite people in to their own encounter. My father would have done me an injustice if he kept me dependent only on him. My father would have done an injustice. Tasha's father would have done her an injustice if she hadn't sent her out and said, this is my daughter, I need you to take her to the next place. This is our job as leaders, that we would lead them to the next place, to the new thing God has for them. Not that we would say, we figured it out and this is why we do it, that we found it and people are drawn to it. Come and drink from my well. I mean, that's real. When you're a deep well, they can drink from your life. But the point is to teach them, to make them feel like to lead them into such an encounter that it goes on, that they know they have access. They know they have access to heaven, to the Father of all fathers, to Jesus, to the Spirit. They know they have access long after they leave this room, that they can go to that place every time because he's central, because he's the focus. This is gonna be a really weird switch. Are you ready? Does anybody, if you don't know what this is, don't judge it, don't hate it, don't question it, just leave it. Okay, but if you know what it is, you'll know what it is. Is anybody an Enneagrammer in here? Okay, I'm a 1. I'm a 1 with a strong 2-wing, okay? If you don't know what that is, read it. Don't just listen to people talk about it. Read it, do the study, or don't. Leave it, okay? It's one of those like road to transformation things. Like, it's so powerful if you want to do the work. If you don't, just leave it. You're fine, just leave it. But 1s are reformers and perfectionists. So we can have the tendency, the 1 is most known for its inner critic. That's how we we know it's a 1, like it makes it clear. Oh, it's that inner critic thing. And everybody has that to some degree, I realize, but it's the most out of all the types, the most intense inner critic. So when people see me, I just want you to understand something about me as we wrap up. Sometimes it helps. Would have been good to lead with this, but just felt like the Lord was doing a different thing. We have to be aware. We have to do the work of knowing ourselves, self-awareness as leaders. We have to know the people we're leading. You're not going to know the whole room you're leading, but you can know yourself. You can do the work to know yourself, to know how other people experience you. to know what are your greatest strengths and your greatest weaknesses. And it's not like remove the negative, positive, everything. It's just growth. It's just like a surrendered life that's like, oh, I just want to keep becoming. I just want to keep being everything I was born to be. No shame, no shame. But in that, we have to know when we're leading. I have to know the weight that comes with being a reformer. It is easy for a reformer to project what they believe onto someone else, and they're like, okay, yeah, no, I'm going to be that now. I'm going to be that now. And that's the last thing that we want. It's really real, because they make you want to stand up, because they come in ready to reform everything, and you're like, I'm going to do what you say. And we, and often we have to dethrone them before we can digest them. So I am aware that when I'm leading people, that I don't want to come in and just go, this way. So it's my focus to do that in the spirit and not with people. Give people spiritual whiplash. Jerk them right out of the presence, trying to be powerful. But what do we say? My power is not in my push. It's in my position. My authority is not in my ability. Sometimes we think that the harder we push, the more awkward we are, the more of a scene we make, that it's more spiritual, and it's just not. For some of you, and the way you're wired, I don't know you, but the way, I'm 6, over. The way that you're wired, if you'll know yourself and you'll let the people around you speak into you as a leader, even the people under you. Ask them how they experience you. It was a hard day when I had to ask my band how they feel about my leadership. And I'll tell you what, I had to reform that right away. And now they say I'm one of the strongest signalers they ever had. They'll tell you that, but at first they were like, dear God, what's this girl gonna do? I was like, all the time. Just off the mic, what am I saying? I have no idea. But I am in the moment, I'm just in a moment. Anyways, we have to know ourselves. To be good leaders, we have to know ourselves. We have to understand how people experience us. It'll help you be a better leader in those moments, leading them into the presence. Okay. Jesus, I don't need any more time. You have all the time with them. You have all of eternity. You're the best teacher. You're the best leader. You're the most inspiring ever. And we long to know you for who you really are. Not to have a spiritual image, not to have the image of you, but to be deeply connected in oneness with you. And as we're deeply connected to you and to the people around us, that you would transform us into world-changing leaders wherever you've planted us. We ask that you would keep us humble, that you would keep us teachable, that you would keep us passionate.